When is the last time you looked at your insurance policy? Auto, homeowners, renter's insurance? Maybe it's time for a refresh. Maybe it's time to save some money. Our next guest can help. Today we introduce you to Greer Narowski of the Insurance and Brokerage House.
This is Charleston Women Podcast, where you can meet like-minded, strong, independent, professional, and inspiring local women. This is Charleston Women Podcast.
And now I would like to welcome Greer Narowski of the Insurance and Brokerage House to the Charleston Women Podcast. Greer, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Erin.
Yes, I'm thrilled that we get a chance to talk to you because you are new to Charleston. You come from like the Hilton Head, Bluffton areas where you have your office, and you just recently launched in Charleston. So tell me a little bit more about what it is that you guys do.
Absolutely. So I actually am in Charleston. I've been here for about 10 to 15 years. So really kind of funny. My boss, William, I knew him in a past career and have kept in touch for about a decade now.
Yeah.
And he started with the Insurance and Brokerage House about 3 years ago. And I, the past career, it was a retail life, and, just kind of ready for a change. So I reached out to him, and, they are interested in expanding here, and kind of said, let's talk, let's see what we can do. And that was back in August of last year. So in December, I officially came on board with the Insurance and Brokerage House in Charleston as their first Charleston agent, hoping to kind of spearhead starting an actual brick and mortar office here, maybe next year, and going from there.
That's great. So I always love when someone takes like a major life shift. You said you come from retail before this?
Yes. Yeah.
So was that like a big jump to go from that to insurance?
Yes and no. So I think, ultimately it's about the customer base and the customer experience in a retail market or an insurance market. They're, the bread and butter of your business. So being able to translate kind of those behaviors and things that you really focus on when you're trying to service a client, those things translate really well. Insurance, I had no idea. I knew nothing. So it took a lot of studying, a lot of hard work to get licensed. So we did, have a course and am legally licensed to write insurance policies in the state of South Carolina. So yeah, it was definitely a lot of hard work to get here, but happy to have made the shift.
Yeah, good for you. And here you are. And I understand you guys have 25 different carriers that you work with. So, insurance is something that each and every one of us needs as we kind of roll closer to hurricane season. I think it might be the time of year that we spend a little more time thinking about it, right? So what does it look like to work with you?
So it really, like you said, we have 25 different carriers. Those range from, homeowner markets to auto insurance, boats. We do commercial policies as well. So it really is a broad spectrum of kind of what we can do, which is great. So we are essentially a brokerage. So we shop out your insurance at other carriers. So Progressive, for example, is one that we have as a carrier, and you have to be appointed specific carriers throughout your agency. So we're able to search out the best policy for you. We can quote with, anybody that we have listed, and then really get you the best rate and the best, the best policy that kind of fits your individual needs.
In 1996, it was Southern Women to Women magazine. Now it's Charleston Women magazine. Charleston Women is all about strong, capable, confident, hardworking, nurturing, determined, dedicated, and inspiring women. Our readers are business owners, entrepreneurs, mothers, sisters, wives, and grandmothers. Pick up your copy of Charleston Women magazine at Charleston area Harris Teeters and Food Lions. Charleston Women magazine. We are Charleston Women.
You're listening to the Charleston Women Podcast.
How often is this something that we should be doing? Because we all have insurance policies that sometimes just kind of auto renew, right? And we might be missing out on better deals. So what would you say to someone who's like, you know what, I need to revisit that. It's been a long time since I've looked at my policy.
I mean, I definitely would revisit it. There's, tons of carriers are increasing their premiums for their renewals. And that, that's just kind of the nature of the beast with especially the coastal market, but in insurance just in general. So if you, get your renewal notice and it's drastically different, we're a great resource for you. So yeah, I mean, you can do that when you get the renewal, you can do that in the middle of your policy term. It really, whenever you think about it, honestly.
Yeah. Do you feel like on average that you can save people a lot of money when they give you a call because you have access to 25 carriers and can shop it around?
Yeah, I think so. I can tell you a great story about my neighbors.
Yeah.
They had one specific carrier for their auto insurance. And I was just getting started. So kind of like networking with friends and family and people that I already knew. So he sent me his policy and we were able to basically cut it in half. He went from paying $2,400 in a year's time to paying $1,200.
Wow. So you were suddenly his favorite person.
Yeah.
I mean, that's you who can't use an extra $1,200 annually. We can all benefit.
I mean, who couldn't, right? Who couldn't use that? So ultimately, it depends on the carrier, what you already have. There's a ton of factors that kind of go into that. But I would say for the most part, like that's really what our agency is about doing is finding the best deals and the best things for our clients.
Greer, how rewarding is it for you, to make this shift into a new industry and to see the value that you and your company have to help someone like that? You got to feel like, a rock star after you get that phone call or send that email. They're like, oh my gosh, that's what you just did.
Yes. I love being able to like have that kind of success story. I've been doing it this, maybe almost 6 months now. And it just, every time you have that kind of interaction and that feeling, it is just fantastic. And that's what this whole company is about. It's a family-owned company, so we're a little bit smaller. We have 14 employees, and just that's what we're about. We're about the client, the customer service, and just creating those relationships.
Yeah. Greer, what would you say to someone listening to this? Obviously, we have a female audience, the Charleston Women Podcast.
Yeah.
But I love talking to successful, business women like yourself, especially those who have maybe, made a left turn later on in your career, totally jumped to something completely different. For someone who's listening to this, what would you say? Maybe if they're unhappy where they are, they feel like they just need a change, as someone who made a dramatic shift, what would you say to someone who's thinking of that or toying with the idea?
I think just ask the question. You make connections and relationships throughout your life, whether that's, work related, personal, just ask the question. That's how I got into this. I just reached out to my old coworker that is now, now he's my boss, which is great. Great relationship there, but it was just on happenstance. I just happened to have the courage to ask the question of how'd you do that? How'd you make the shift? What are you doing? And it has worked out wonderfully.
Yeah. And then to follow that up, I have another odd question that I like asking women, but I think the way you start your day is super important, how you set yourself up for the rest of the day. So do you have any morning routines? Do you get up and have coffee or green tea or do yoga or an early riser, anything that sets you up for success for the day that you can share with the rest of us?
Yeah. So I have a 3-year-old.
You're up early.
I'm up early.
Yeah.
But I like to be able to get up before she wakes up, before I need to get her up to take her to school. I have my coffee, look through my emails, get myself like grounded for the day, kind of set a goal of what I want to accomplish, and then be able to kind of take a little bit of time to get her up, get her ready, take her to school, and come back and reset and focus on that list.
Right. I can relate to that. I like waking up early before the kids. It's like my one precious moments of the day.
Yes. Yeah. The house is quiet. No one's around.
I don't mind that little loss of sleep to have like those few moments, right? Before the chaos starts. You said that you're going to launch a brick and mortar, which is your goal. I imagine then you're going to bring on more agents. If there's someone listening who might be interested in that job, are you recruiting new people just yet?
I don't know necessarily if we're recruiting for Charleston just yet, but I would say we're looking to open that probably January timeframe. So, definitely reach out if you're interested. It doesn't hurt, right? We can always see kind of what direction that would go, where we would lead. If anyone is listening and they're interested in the insurance world, then yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it sounds like, you've made such a happy shift. There might be someone listening who either needs your services, needs to refresh their insurance, or might want to consider a career change. Greer, what is next for you? You've got the 3-year-olds, you've got the new job, the launch in Charleston. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully doing the same thing. I have only done it for a short time, but I love it. I love the flexibility of my schedule, the flexibility with my, employers, and just being able to have a little bit more family balance, like work-life balance. So hopefully doing the same thing and in a brick and mortar location so we can service even more customers and just really continue to grow the business.
Yeah, super exciting. Do you have any tips for us before we go as we do enter into hurricane season? Anything that we like a must have in our policy as homeowners?
I think for this coastal area, all of Charleston, Hilton Head, Myrtle Beach, that kind of area, I think most policies are typically already written with a hurricane or wind and hail kind of deductible, but just making sure, I would definitely make sure there's wind coverage in any policy that you have for your house.
All right, Greer, anything else that I didn't ask that you'd like to add today?
No, I don't think so, Erin. Thank you so much.
Yeah, go ahead and tell our listeners. Some people might be watching the video podcast, but those that are just listening on Spotify or, Apple, where do we find you? And I understand we can go to your website and we just fill out a form to get more information from you.
Yes, so you can go to our website. It's HHIANDB.com.
Okay.
There's a form that you can fill out requesting a quote. There's contact information on there if you want to reach out directly to our main agency that's in Bluffton. Or you can always reach me. My email is Greer, GREER, @HHINB.com.
All right, Greer, thank you so much. I'm just going to reiterate, it's the Insurance and Brokerage House. Phone number also 843-816-8780, or you can go to HHINB, as in boy, .com to get more information. Greer, it has been such a pleasure chatting with you today. Thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you, Erin. It has been great to get to chat with you as well.
Yes, and you have been listening to the Charleston Women Podcast with Greer Narowski.
Thanks for spending time with Charleston Women Podcast. Please like us and follow us on whatever platform you're using to access Charleston Women Podcast.